Hi, this is Nicole from the Right Habit podcast, and I have received so many questions about automatic writing that I decided to do another podcast episode and give you an idea of what I have learned from doing automatic writing for a few years now, what the most profound messages were for me, and give you a taste of what change you can achieve in your life, and that can be in your writing life, but also in your life. When you find access to your inner truth or your subconscious, your guides, there are many ways to describe it, but when you have access to more than your rational thinking and goal setting. So, what are the top 5 messages or insights that I have received through automatic writing? Number 1, probably the most important one for me personally, I am never alone. I have abandonment issues from childhood. There were times when I've not been able to be taken care of properly. That's a very roundabout way of saying that my mother was very sick for a while, and I spent some time with my grandmother, quite a long time, but I tend to very easily feel alone and isolated and lost and abandoned even. And in my automatic writing, since I've started the practice, I've found a way of not feeling so alone. All I have to do is either go into my automatic writing and talk to my guides, and they are there for me. I feel warm and buzzy and loved and held and safe. But also, I just need to remember that if everything falls apart, if I don't earn any money anymore with my coaching, if my kids hate me, if I never find love again, if I'm going to be stuck in my home office forever, I will always have my guides. I will always have myself, my inner guidance, my automatic writing. Maybe one day my hands fall off and I can't write anymore, and then I will probably talk to them in my head. So a lot of things have to happen for that feeling of not being alone being taken away. It's really only pen and paper that you need, and the practice of building that relationship with automatic writing. For me, as someone who has abandonment issues, the fact that I feel never alone because I have my automatic writing and my guides makes a massive difference in my life. It has completely changed how I view myself and how I interact with others, and how I feel on a daily basis, because sometimes it's hard. And I wondered, it might be similar for you. Maybe you might not have abandonment issues, but you might want to feel held and loved, and someone is there for you. And that your partner might not be able to do that. Your parents, your friends might not always be available. But what if you had that, right? So this is my top one. The second most profound insight or feeling I get from automatic writing is safety. It's very closely connected to not feeling alone, I think. I have an experience with panic attacks and anxiety. I had times when I couldn't leave the house because my whole body told me it's not safe. And that has happened as a sort of ebb and flow in my life. There were times when nothing could bring me down. I would travel to New York and to conferences and dare to do things, and other times when I really feel I will be in this anxiety state, completely disconnected from myself and feeling like the world is ending and I might get a heart attack, and all these things that I feel when I'm actually in high anxiety state. And this is an ebb and flow that is part of my life. But it has helped me massively to be able to talk to my guides, because I am learning that I can be safe. I have also learned that I can make decisions even though I'm scared. Because normally when I'm scared of losing my job, not making enough money, never finding love again, maybe, being stuck with something in a situation, in a relationship, or being stuck with my writing even, when I feel that stuckness and that fear, I'm often paralyzed. I cannot make any decisions. I feel like it's going to be always like that. I will feel like this 24/7. But the safety that I get through automatic writing is sort of my guides tell me things. They tell me you can do this. They tell me it might be uncomfortable, but we can already see you doing this. One of my guides is my future self, so she has already been there. She's 10, 20 years ahead, and she's just always looking at me with kind eyes and saying, you are on the way, Nicole. You are taking the steps, and I know it's hard. I've been there, but I am now living this really free and abundant and creative, connected life. And you are taking the steps now, and I know you're scared, but you can still do it. You can take that tiny step. And my guides remind me, remember when you didn't think you could file for divorce and you were so scared, paralyzed, your whole body screamed no, but then you went and did the online form and you clicked submit. And weeks and months after, you felt like, oh, it wasn't that hard. It is hard. It is damn hard to get separated, but also it was far less complicated. And, I didn't die. I almost thought I would die from this, right? And my guides, my inner guides told me, you will be okay. It'll be uncomfortable. Remember what you managed in your past, all the things you were able to do. You can step forward with the next thing. You can take the next step. So if you have fears around your creativity, your life, your career, your money, your relationships, if you are someone who gets easily anxious around things, automatic writing can really help you with that. It has certainly created a sort of safety net for me that I cannot describe. No therapist, no coach, no partner, not even the unconditional love from my children has been able to give me that. So that is number 2. Number 1 was never feeling alone. Number 2 is feeling safe. Number 3 are the little things. So I thought number 3 would be some big thing, but it is the little things. I sometimes ask, what do I need to know today? What's the most important thing today? And in my automatic writing, it would often point me into the direction of something that is small but impactful for me. For example, your daughter hasn't been feeling well. Spend some time with her. Listen to her. She's really looking out to get some guidance from you. So maybe subconsciously I picked up on that, but I was so busy with my job and, life and childcare that I didn't see that. But my automatic writing tells me that. Or I often get the message, slow down. It's okay that you are not hustling and productive every single day to the absolute maximum. Slow down, you need space. So these are tiny messages, but they stick with me throughout the day, and I will still do the things I need to do. I'm not going to drop everything and lie in bed and say, well, automatic writing said I should rest. I don't think I want to do that, but it creates a different mindset that I have throughout the day. And sometimes automatic writing will remind me that there was a deadline that I almost missed. Again, it might be coming from those guides that know everything, the universe, right? Or it could just be my subconscious. Because with the space in automatic writing, you're just creating space. You're letting go of the overthinking and you're creating space. And if there is a deadline that is important, it'll bubble up to the surface and then you will remember that. That was number 3. The little things, the mindful intentional days that I have after I've done my automatic writing. Number 4, I'm gonna have to feel into this one. It has to do with my mission in life and how I want to conduct myself and how much I care about what others think of me. So number 4, I'm just gonna call it the wild, wise woman. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So all my life, I've been running after getting the right degrees and finding the right career path that's perfect for me. So I went to journalism school. It was really hard to get into journalism school in Germany. I then became an academic, did my PhD and followed the academic path with all the things, publications, wrote 15 papers or so, published 2 books, got a tenured lectureship. So I've always been really trying to be good, follow the rules, figuring out, okay, this is the next thing I want to do. What are the rules? How do people do it, right? How can I do it right and prove to everyone I'm worthy of doing this? And, that worked out really well. I think this can be a way to be very ambitious and successful in life. And I had 2 10-year-long very good careers, one as a journalist, one as an academic in the UK, including University of Cambridge. So I was super proud of that. But I also got burnout because I overdid it, and I paid much more attention to the rules and the things the boxes I need to check, rather than how do I feel? Am I still happy? Am I in alignment? Where am I bending myself in a way that is, this is not how I want to live? For example, as an academic, you do have to do a lot of research and publish that. That's sort of the currency, right? If you have a lot of papers on your CV, you get the next job or promotion. But at the same time, you're also supposed to teach students and mentor them. And I really enjoyed teaching and mentoring students. I love that. I'm sort of a mentor and guide now in my life, but it wasn't rewarded in the same way. So I forced myself to condense my meetings with students to the absolute necessary and almost tell them, setting boundaries more than I needed to. And I lost my inner alignment. My values are different from what I lived. I only lived for papers. And I was very good at publishing a lot and finding strategies to make that work. But I didn't feel true to myself. I really missed that role of being a mentor and a guide to them, and someone who is compassionate and listens with empathy. I really missed that. And so if I had done automatic writing back then, maybe I would have seen that early on. Maybe I wouldn't have become disillusioned with my job and unsatisfied, and I sort of felt like something was wrong, so I worked harder and harder at the time, and then I had burnout. I had to take sick leave, and eventually I went back to work thinking I can prove that I can still do it, but then I relapsed back into burnout and panic attacks, and I had to quit my job. And automatic writing now helps me to stay in alignment and figure out what my life path is. Because just because I quit academia doesn't mean I know exactly what I want to do. For a while, I thought I was going to be a writing retreat facilitator. I did that really well. I loved it. I offered a lot of structured writing retreats online and a few in person here in Cambridge, and held space for others. And then I realized, people came to me in the breaks and asked for advice and mentorship and guidance again, wanted to know how I'm doing it, what my writing practice is. And so then I became a writer's coach and focused heavily on academics to help them get out of burnout and get published. I helped entrepreneurs to publish their books. I work with someone who is writing memoir. I work with a novelist. And I thought, this is it. Writing, it's always been part of my life. Writing is the one golden thread all the way through. But you know what? At the moment, I am feeling there's something else coming. There's something brewing. So I asked my automatic writing, what's going on? Guides, tell me. And so the guides didn't react immediately to this, because when you come in with like a forcing energy, you're going to get that back, right? But at some point I let go and I just trusted my guides will tell me what's going on when I can hear it properly. And so this is where the phrase, the wild, wise woman, comes in. Honestly, I don't know 100% what it means, but they reminded me that this is who I am. The wild, wise woman, someone who is free, someone who is trying to live in integrity and helping others do the same, maybe through writing, maybe through self-transformation coaching, maybe through who knows what. I'm waiting for my guides to tell me. But when they said that again and again and again, week after week, day after day, I actually remembered, you know what, the very first time I did automatic writing a few years back. That's what they said. I asked, who am I? And they said, you are a wild, wise woman. And you are going to be guiding many other women who are having difficulties in their lives. Just you wait. Now back then, it's a few years ago, I was like, yeah, okay, that's very woo-woo. I don't know how that came into my head. But I also had a vision connected to it. And now that I'm, again, rethinking what's going on in my life and thinking about what is that next leap for me, that next breakthrough, I'm remembering and seeing that again. And the vision that I saw in my automatic writing the very first time I did it, but also now I see it increasingly, and it's really weird. So if you are weirded out by this, don't feel bad. I would probably feel the same if that came my way. My vision that my guides are showing me is that me and my guides, my future self, the authors that I love, and a few more entities are standing around a fire in a forest, and it's all very warm and welcoming and loving, and there is a light coming. I don't think I've told anyone this, so bear with me, right? There's a light emanating from all of us, and this light is going up into the sky and building a dome around us, a huge, sparkly, glittering, white light dome, and that dome is expanding all across the earth, bigger, 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 all the way around. Now, if you are listening to the podcast and you know what that means, tell me. I'm not sure I know, but I have a feeling that it has to do with what I do for a living and how I conduct myself in this world, and maybe how I earn my money. Maybe not. I don't know. But so this is the slightly odd one, the Wild Wise Woman, number 4. It is something that has to do with figuring out where you want to be in your life. Where do you want to go? And maybe also trusting that there is something there that your guides are telling you or alluding to, and you think that's really odd. I don't know what to do with this. But sort of just trusting, okay, if that keeps popping up, let's just wait and see. And I do feel that with this podcast, I am stepping a little bit more into the world beyond goal setting and accountability coaching for writers, and also into thinking about a wider impact in the world. And maybe that wide impact just means people that coach with me, there will be a spillover effect, and that a little bit of that will spread. It might be something very humble, or it might be something bigger. I don't know. But I have a feeling of trust, and I also have the courage to be vulnerable and tell you this, even though half of you might think, okay, Nicole has gone spiritual, we're going to log off. This is enough. And that's okay. I love you all the same. That's fine. So that's number 4. Trust in the path and openness to weird new stuff. Let's see number 5. Well, I think it gives me a bit of a different kind of connection to other people. So this is going into the more spiritual. Sometimes when I needed to make a decision in my life that involved another person, maybe that person wasn't as communicative, I've used automatic writing to talk to them. So hear me out. I would be talking to their higher self. That could just be the wiser version of them, the calmer version of them, the version of that person who is not afraid or angry or pissed off with me or stressed out, but simply maybe at the core who they are or who they could be if they weren't so caught up in stuff, right? Just like me, to be very honest. And so I have sometimes stepped into my automatic writing for difficult situations where I have talked to, or imagined I talked to the higher self of the other person and asked, what is it that you actually want from me? Or why are you not responding? What is the issue? What am I doing that is just not working for you? Or with my child, one of my kids had issues and was really not communicating and was unwell too. I didn't know what they needed. So I asked, can I speak to the higher self of my child? And the answer came yes. And then I asked, what can I do for you? And then it said, just leave me be. Let me be how I am. And just love me unconditionally. Show me that. Don't talk at me all the time. Don't want me different. Don't create these rules and have a plan for me and schedule things because you think this is what I should do. Just leave me be. Just leave me be. And I tried that. I'm not sure if I was super successful, but it took me out of this like mother needs to control and be in charge of the child's life kind of thinking. I've also connected to some of my clients through automatic writing. Now, only to those where I asked permission. So if I'm in a coaching session, I would ask, is it okay when I go into my automatic writing that I connect with your higher self? I don't ask everyone that. So if you're a client of mine, you're listening to this, I've never asked you that. Please come to me and tell me you're open, or, maybe you're just like, phew, thank God she didn't ask me that. I would have thought Nicole has finally gone to the other side. But I had one client who was really blocked, and he loved the idea. And so I went and into the automatic writing, and through my guides or through talking to their higher self, or maybe it was my subconscious, I always put that in, who knows, right? But I found a way in for that client. And so I don't want to go into specifics because it's a very personal thing to be coached. But I went into the next coaching session and just asked them, would you like to hear what my automatic writing said? And then we talked it through, and we suddenly had a very deep connection. I actually felt a real tingling in my body, and the other person felt it too. And it may just be that they realized that I, as a coach, went all the way to find new access points to them, and they felt loved and held, and that opened them up. Or it might be that they could step into their higher self and drop the stress, and then we could have a different coaching conversation. And I've also done it when I wasn't sure if I should take on a client or not, maybe a lucrative deal that would have really supported me in my finances. But I wasn't sure. There was something that wasn't quite 100% right. I wasn't sure if the person wasn't right for me, or I wasn't right to help that person in the best way. So I went into my automatic writing, and I asked the higher self of that person, and sometimes I ask permission, right? Higher self, would you be willing to talk to me? And if there's the answer no, then I will ask my guides, what's my next step? And so I have found ways of figuring out who I want to work with and who is not quite right to work with through my automatic writing. If I had known automatic writing, it would have been so helpful when I was an academic and I felt micromanaged. Now I have a much different perspective, and I'm pretty sure if I had used automatic writing, I would have seen beyond the sort of what I perceived as control. I might have handled certain situations differently. Now, that doesn't mean I'm all zen with all people in my life. Throughout the day, I get massively sidetracked, and my ego goes in, and my fear and anger, and, so it doesn't mean that all these things go away. And I think all the authors that I admire and all the teachers or gurus and mentors out there, they would probably not be honest if they said they don't have these issues anymore. But now I have a different way of dealing with it. I have a different way of, when I get really angry with someone and say something I really regret, once I've calmed down, I remember, okay, let's go into automatic writing. How can I put this right? How can I approach my children? How can I approach my clients, my friends, or anyone else in a different way? So those are the 5 things, and they were almost channeled. I was really in flow with this. I tried to let my deeper knowing speak through me in this podcast episode. I just really wanted you to get an idea of why I am so keen to teach everybody who is open this automatic writing. Those 5 things have completely changed my life. I have this tool. I feel like this is mine. I can use it. And I feel like if everyone had it, going beyond journaling and the thinking and the figuring out and the forcing it, just going beyond all that and finding some peace in your body, in your mind, with your decisions, with your life, yes, with your creativity, but also with everything else. Just imagine what that could look like. And I want you to think about it. If this speaks to you, if you feel super connected to what I'm saying at the moment, then try and find a way to learn automatic writing. Give it a try and see what can happen in your life. Automatic writing has definitely been something that I cannot imagine how I've gone through my life without it. I mean, I know how, right? Perfectionism, fear, ambition, doing it right, following the rules. I got quite far, but I just, I look back on the younger Nicole, and man, even the child Nicole, and I am actually keen on teaching it to my children if they are open and willing. How different could I have felt all these years, Yeah, just the trust in myself. And so this is how I'm going to end this episode. Feel free to check out my course. It's in the show notes. Check in with yourself how you feel right now after listening to this. You might feel a bit vulnerable, a bit emotional. That's okay. You are loved, you are held, you are safe. You have received this and you can go on into the rest of your day. And yes, that's it from me, Nicole from the Right Habit Podcast. Please subscribe and share this episode if you wish, if it spoke to you.